Good day, everyone, and welcome to Different Stages Radio. I'm your host, JJ, broadcasting in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. You know, my guest today, from his beginnings in Spock's Beard to his prolific solo career, including many side bands and projects, including his new venture, COSMIC Cathedral, who are about to release their debut album, Deep Water, on April 25th on InsideOutMusic. Please welcome my guest, Neal Morse. How are you?
Oh, great, man. Very good.
You're doing good. You seem very calm, cool, collected, and just in a good place. Is that
Yeah, I'm in a good place. Yeah, I'm relaxed. We did the warm-up show for Neal Morse and the Resonance, the young guys band that I've been working with, and we're playing at the cruise party, the pre-cruise party next week. So we had our warm-up show last night. So I'm a little tired, uh, but it went great. It was really fun, really good energy, and good crowd, and good music. So who could ask for anything more, right?
excellent? And that's the pre-party for the Cruise to the Edge, correct?
Correct.
And that's April 3rd. I
That's correct.
There we go.
That's right.
Okay,
Yeah.
very good. And then April 25th, we have Cosmic Cathedral coming out, which is brilliant. I'm fortunate enough to hear it throughout. Just
Oh, thank you.
it's just that comfort that you bring to the music that you work with. There's always kind of that soothing
Mm.
breathability to what you provide for people who are maybe just finding out about Cosmic Cathedral and the personnel involved. Can you talk a bit about it, please?
Yeah, well, it started, it's a wonderful prog beginning. I think it's a good prog story. It started when I went to see Steve Hackett at the Ryman Auditorium in Nashville, and I went backstage to see Steve, and there was Chester. They were sitting in there talking, and I was a little bit like the fly on the wall, just kind of listening to them reminisce about all the years that they spent playing together. I had forgotten that they had played together for many, many years, and that was really cool. Anyway, so I talked to Chester a little bit, and then when I was driving home from the gig, I felt inside like I should do something with him, like I should get with him. And so I got his email address from Steve, and oh, well, long story short, we had lunch, and then he invited me to his house to jam. So I went to Chester's house to jam, and right away felt like there was something happening there. Um, it was pretty interesting. Like I was playing a Korg Triton just in the room on a piano and string sound, I think, and he was playing drums like in the same room, and I could hear the keyboard.
Okay.
Most drummers that I play with, almost any of them,
Drown you out.
well, yeah, you wouldn't be able to just play a key without headphones or anything, just like a piano sound. I wasn't playing that loud, and he comes from a jazz background, so he just. I'm just mentioning that to say that he just plays so just differently than a lot of people that I've worked with, and very musical. The way he hits the drums is interesting, and he's just he's got this great groove, and right away there was some really good music happening. So then as time went on, then we started talk. I think we got together and we jammed one more time. That would be sort of the exploratory time. It's almost like if you were a miner. I think, if you're mining for gold, you do these little explorations, and then you go, oh, okay, I think there's some gold here. Then you dig a little further, and then we talked about who we would want to make our album with, and I think we both thought of Phil Keaggy right away. And I think it was Phil. Although I'd worked with Byron, I didn't think of Byron,
Hmm.
um, because I haven't worked with him for a while, and I think of him more as a stand-up basis. When I've hired him in the past, like on Testimony,
Right.
he was playing stand-up bass. And anyway, but they both Chester and Phil had jammed with Byron before and done sessions with him, and they're like, "Oh, he lives near you, doesn't he, Neal? Well, Byron's the guy." And I prayed about it and felt like, "Yeah, Byron's the guy. Yeah, great." So the four of us got together, and we jammed a couple times, and then we buckled down to make the record.
and everything just started to line up. Now, back to Chester for a second. One of the lines I was reading in the press release was, and you kind of touched on it, but if you can elaborate a bit more, Chester plays in such a different, cool way. It makes me play differently.
Right, of course.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the second part is one thing about him playing, but then it makes you play differently. How can you explain that at all?
Well, I think everyone that you play with changes the way that you play, or it should, because you're listening to each other and you're playing off of each other. You're not just like on your own track, you're on a track together. And so, oh yeah, well, I probably played quieter, and I probably, I mean, I think that explains the little more jazz kind of feeling to some of the tracks. I think this has more of a little bit of a soul, a little bit of an R&B, a little bit. There's a little bit of a different flavor to this record. In one of the interview things that we did, I mentioned that like "Time to Fly" has a kind of yacht rock feel to it because of the groove behind it has a just has a cool swing to it, and so I remember when we were jamming on, and they were grooving on that, and Phil and I were playing stuff over it, and then I just felt to sing. Like I was trying to jam with singing as well. It's like when you feel to solo, solo, when you feel to lay back, lay back, when you feel to sing, sing, and so I just started singing, and I think what I said in the jam was, I watched the stars fall over the earth. I mean, some of those things from the jam are exactly what's on the record. And then some of the things change dramatically too. So it's
That's remarkable.
all, all over the place.
Now sounds like again it was a very collaborative effort, as musically considered. Now lyrically, did you have a lot of this in place, or is it like you just described? Was it kind of coming up with ideas as the music was coming together?
It was both. Some of it I did what I usually do when it comes to writing lyrics. I'll listen to what we did, and I'll listen to the scratch vocal track, which sometimes has certain phrases and then blah blah blah. It'd be like walking in daylight, blah 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 blah. You come up with something that you're like, oh, that has a kind of cool feel to it. And then I think in the verses of that, I was like, we were jamming on that thing, that kind of thing. And then Phil heard my scratch vocal, and actually wrote a lyric, kind of what he calls my scratch vocals phonetic, like I'm just kind of singing phonetically is what he calls it, and I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm just making stuff up, and I try to be free enough. What you want to do is get to a place where you feel free enough to do that, and it can be pretty embarrassing in front of other people. You got this room full of like, world famous musicians,
Exactly.
and you're
Yeah,
kind of
like you
like,
got full on.
la-di-dee-dum-pa, and there I was in a state of, sometimes I'll just say things, and anyway, it turned out so cool is because Phil riffed off of the stuff that I was doing, and that's kind of how it came together.
Because yeah, it sounds very calm and relaxed, and because you have all these seasoned pros being on probably such the same page, does it feel like this is just remarkable? And going back, I can't say enough about Chester because I think it's awesome how you brought Chester into the mix. I'm sure you were listening to him as a teenager, I would gather, maybe not even or subconsciously. Was you
Sure.
any idea back in mid late 70s or perhaps even early 80s that 40 odd years later I'm going to be doing a record with this guy, and then also with Phil and Byron? Like that's just pretty
It's crazy.
ridiculous.
I mean, it's crazy to think. The first thing that I would ever listen to religiously that Chester played on would have been Village of the Sun by Frank Zappa. And I listened to that. What did that come out? 72, 73, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I listened to that like every day for like months when I was 13. Right? You know, here we are making a record. I mean, I try not to think about that kind of stuff because it's so mind blowing. You know, it's like when I was, we did the Transatlantic did a gig with John Anderson on on that cruise. What was it? The PN-14. I forget what it was called, but it was not Cruise to the Edge, but the one that they did before that. And there I was at a rehearsal, and to think, you know, when I was 12, I saw Yes open for Black Sabbath, and that like changed my life. That set my life on the course that it's on, you know. And there we are doing And You and I, and John can't remember the words, and he's looking at me for cues. So I'm like, sad teacher. I mean, I was like, what? This is insane. And I'm singing like the Squire parts of loneliness is a power that I'm singing harmonies with John Anderson. This is insane, right? It's just life.
Where's the bucket of water to throw over your head?
Right. Life's done some God's done some amazing things in my life, and that's all part of it, man. It's amazing.
Now, since you brought up Transatlantic, I'll jump to that. Transatlantic, Flying Colors, anything going on in those worlds? Not that you need more stuff to be going on. You're
right. No, those are on hiatus right now. You know, all the things that Mike's in are on hold while he's in this Dream Theater cycle, which is going to go on for a while. So, you know, we're just kind of waiting for him. I don't know what's coming in that regard, but I'm sure that good things will come when it's time.
No doubt. Back to Cosmic Cathedral, though. Another thing in the presser was talking about getting together in November 2024. Was that a typo, or is that 2023? Because I'm thinking that's quick.
Oh yeah, no, it would have been the first time. The Hackett concert was in November 2023.
Okay, because I'm thinking now that timeline will work more. Because reading 2024, I'm like, that's impressive.
The first time the four of us got together to jam was in January of 24. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I'll tell them to correct that.
Very good. But so to jump ahead to October, MorseFest will be the first time Cosmic Cathedral is playing as a live act. Is that true? Correct?
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I actually want to book some kind of a warm-up show somewhere because MorseFest is going to be filmed and all that stuff. It would be nice to do some kind of a warm-up gig somewhere. So I'm working on that. So, but MorseFest is the official debut. Yes. Yeah.
And
October 17th.
October 17th. Perfect.
Yeah.
And today you announced something. Would you like to talk about that? As in March 28th, you announced the Live in London?
Oh, yes. Live in London Inner Circle show. That's an Inner Circle release.
Right. That's for the hardcores.
Yeah. If you want to join the Inner Circle, go to my website. You can figure out how to do it, I'm sure. But that's that was a really interesting and spontaneous gig that we did in London, and Nick DiVirgilio and Ross Jennings and Eric Gillette and tons of killer people, Bill Hubauer and Randy George, a bunch of killer people are part of it, and it was quite spontaneous. So it's not. I haven't actually watched it, but I remember the gig, and mainly it's like we do all this stuff, these big nights at MorseFest, both Joseph albums, and you rehearse for. You practice for months and then you rehearse for days, and then that's really the focus. And then the Inner Circle concert is kind of an afterthought that I usually send the material around like the Wednesday before, and nobody has time to rehearse any of it. And so it's it's a little loosey goosey, but I mean it was a really good, strong thing. I hope people enjoy it.
I'm sure they will. Now, do you mind filling people in on your Neal Morse and the Resonance album, No Hill for a Climber, that came out this past November? Anything that you can tell people about that might have not got around to picking up a copy yet?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, if you're a Prog fan, it's a must. I think that that record is really strong. The band is really strong. Uh, not to take anything away from any other group of musicians that I play with, but these young guys in Resonance they really bring it. And the material is just really blessed. I think, there's a freshness, dare I say there's an anointing. There's a there's some really beautiful things that happened on that album, and yeah, if you're a Prog fan, I think you're gonna love that No Hill for a Climber album. Yeah.
Excellent. Now, I'm also thinking of people that maybe are perhaps, there's got to be at least one person out there that's late to the Neal Morse party, who are maybe just like, what's taking me so long to get into his stuff? If you were to maybe pick two, three, five, 50 things that you've played on, recorded on, for somebody maybe to get started with their collection of Neal Morse and related material, is there any that you might single out?
Hmm. Wow. Well, I know the things that most people like the most. They aren't necessarily, I don't think they're necessarily, better than this or that.
Yeah.
But I know that the most popular probably is Transatlantic, the Whirlwind is one. Um, Spock's Spirit Snow is a very popular one. NMB, Neal Morse Band, Similitude of a Dream is a big one. But I think No Hill for a Climber and Cosmic Cathedral in their own ways are just as good as those records.
But that's excellent. So you're giving a wide range of your material for people to get started with, which is great.
Yeah, well, you know. Oh, and I mean, if you go back to the early Spock's records, there's a lot of great stuff there. I mean, and of course, Testimony, One, Question Mark, and Sola. All the early Neal Morse concept albums are pretty good too.
Okay.
Dare I say?
Now
So,
you've been spoiled though with working with so many phenomenal musicians. Is there somebody still out there active that you're like, man, I'd really like to do something with that person or persons? Is there anybody that you're kind of, that would be really awesome to get together with that guy or girl or people?
well, oh, there's a lot of people like that actually. Uh, I'd be really interested in doing an album with Steve Hackett, for example. But I haven't really approached that. I don't feel like he's so busy with all the stuff. He's always got a great new solo album coming out and doing all these tours. And I would love to do something with Steve. Um, I'd love to do something with Paul Gilbert again, actually.
You mentioned
Uh,
it, yeah.
yeah, um,
Paul's
yeah,
on
he's on there. Yeah, but
just
we never like actually collaborated on a album together. We did the Beatles thing, and anyway, he's one. Peter Gabriel, of course. Yeah, yeah. There you go. There you go. You got it right there. Um, yeah. Hey, hey. Here's something that nobody knows that I haven't announced yet.
oh, go for it. Okay, breaking news.
I have to be careful because I don't want to confuse people. Like it's like this news and this album and oh, you know what I mean. I already feel like maybe it's too much for people,
No, no, no. We all want more.
but I'm trying to decide if I should say or not.
I think you got the power. You got the power.
But kind of spontaneously, I'm gonna do a set at the Cavern Club.
No way.
Yeah,
No way. When are you doing that?
yeah. It's the Monday before I'm gonna be in the UK to start the Neal Morse and the Resonance
Yeah.
Flower Kings tour,
Yeah.
and that starts, I think,
Late May?
June 4th.
Right.
So June 2nd, I need to put it in my calendar. I think it's 6 o'clock. I'm playing a half an hour of Beatles songs in the Cavern Club,
That's brilliant. Solo.
and you're the first to know. I don't.
How about that? I appreciate the insight. That's awesome. And then we
Yeah.
can hold on that topic because late May you have two solo shows as well, correct? In Sweden?
Yeah. Well, one in the Netherlands.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
That's going to be really interesting too. They're all. It's like a lot of unique, really interesting things that God's putting in my path. Yeah, May 23rd, I'm playing at a festival called Midsummer Prague
Right. Yeah. I have that one May
in the Netherlands,
24th. Yeah. 20.
and the promoter Rob Paulman, he he's bringing in a bunch of people to play with me, and we're going to actually have rehearsals, and we're going to do a set and jam. You're talking about people like Jonas Reingold
Oh,
and Colin Ligenar and Eric Gillette and Ross Jennings, and so I mean it's that gig's going to be totally unique because that group of people never played together before. I'm going to play some solo stuff and then bring those guys out like kind of one by one, and anyway, I'm looking forward to that. Yeah.
that should be brilliant. Well, I appreciate that's awesome. Awesome. Okay, we'll cut this short then. So just because you spoiled me with that news. So just before you take off, if you're going to be the classic desert island moment, but you're not able to bring any Beatles with you, or Beatles are already there. So we can exclude the Beatles as far as, that's already a part of the program on your desert island. What else? What other maybe 2, 3 things might Neal Morse must have to listen to while he's on that desert island?
Oh my. Well, a lot of my favorite prog albums are everyone's favorite prog albums, honestly. Um, Close to the Edge would be one. Uh, I think, I'm just in love with Pictures in Exhibition. I've been listening to that lately, and I love that so much. The fact that they did that live, like it's just so extraordinary. I love that ELP record. Uh, Man, there's so many great ones. Uh, I don't know. It's so hard to pick a Genesis album. I guess I might take Trick of the Tail. I love Trick of the Tail. So, yeah.
Now, quickly before we go, Cosmic Cathedral, where can people pick up that product? Where can they get Neal Morse product?
Well, the best place to get it for me is radiantrecords.com or neilmorse.com. Uh, and Also, I have my own streaming app called Waterfall that you could download at waterfallstreaming.com. That's waterfallstreaming.com. And that has everything I've ever done and will have everything I'm going to do. So it's like 170 albums on there or some insane thing. And it's so great, streaming's great because then you can just have it on your phone and you pause it and go out to the beach and you're at the same place, where that you were. And I just love it. So yeah, I think Waterfall's the best way. If with all these albums, it's really hard to get them all and keep them all organized. And with Waterfall, it's just all in there and boom. So that's my
Easy
recommendation.
access. And I want
Yeah.
to make sure that people check out the Time to Fly single, Cosmic Cathedral. There was a visualizer that was just released yesterday.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and then the playthrough for the Deepwater Suite, that's just, I can watch that on repeat, as well as it being a great song. I'm sure you've been getting great feedback from, especially, well, Deepwater Suite's been out for a month or so now, where
Yeah.
Time to Fly was just released yesterday, but I'm sure you're getting some awesome feedback from both tracks so far.
Yeah. A lot of great feedback. It's getting tremendous response. It's amazing.
Yes, so there'll be physical product on CD and vinyl of Deepwater Cosmic Cathedral being released on InsideOutMusic on April the 25th. You can also pre-order it now on differentstagesradio.com. And I want to thank my guest, Neal Morse, today. This was a very nice and comfortable and chill conversation, and it was a pleasure having you on Different Stages Radio.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me. God bless you.